Not, you won't start right this second. I'll pull up your PowerPoint right after. There we go. Alright, whenever you're ready.
The first time my brother said I love you to my parents was when he was 5. He hadn't said much before then, and had only recently begun to feed himself and be potty trained. My brother Alex was diagnosed with autism at the age of 3. My parents were shocked and scared about the undoubtedly arduous climb ahead. The first thing the doctor told my parents was that Alex should be institutionalized and that there was little hope for a fully functioning future. They eventually found the Virginia Institute of Autism in Charlottesville, Virginia, a school that changed our lives forever. Alex graduated from VIA after 14 wonderful years, and my parents, along with the parents of my brother's peers, began to look toward the future. They found that there was a harsh reality up ahead. They realized that there was no next step. They had reached the appropriately named Autism Cliff. The Autism Cliff, according to the 2015 PBS website, looked like this. At 22, students age out of the public school system and the entitlement laws that provide services such as education, transportation, subsidized housing, and vocational and life skills training cease to apply, leaving family, friends, and teachers responsible for seeking out support systems. Parents and teachers refer to this as falling off the cliff because of the scarcity of continuing adult education programs. However, creating adult services programs to serve the needs of adults with autism could easily stop this cliff. However, there is a stark scarcity of adult services programs in the U.S. today, but there is a viable solution. The lack of accessible adult services programs could be easily resolved if organizations like Autism Speaks reallocated more of their funding to providing a productive future for adults with autism. Autism Speaks puts forth a great deal of money towards researching a cure for autism, but it is not what the country needs right now. It's an organization that sees autism as a problem to fix rather than a disability to help. Autism Speaks has many beneficial things for those diagnosed with autism and their families, including organizing walks and fundraising events. However, their budget shows that they are not utilizing their resources in an effective way to prepare for the future ahead. As the leading autism organization, Autism Speaks has the responsibility to lead on both research and outreach fronts. The problem is that organizations such as Autism Speaks are donating more money to research and the salaries of their administration than to serving the autistic community directly. The prevalence of autism in the U.S. Children has increased by 119.4% from 2000 to 2010, according to the 2014 CDC website. There is a new wave of autistic adults that will outgrow their current programs in the next 5 to 10 years, appropriately deemed the autism tsunami by the 2015 AFAA website. Due to this impending autism tsunami, adult services are needed now more than ever. According to the 2015 AFAA website, with this increase in prevalence has come an increased demand for effective resources for adolescents and adults with autism. Unfortunately, the need continues to far exceed the available resources, leaving a generation of people with autism and their families in a programmatic, financial, and personal limbo, and a society at large economically diminished. Autism Speaks has a disproportionate budget breakdown, as they spend 11 times more money on research than on family services. The graph of their functional expenses show that only $4.6 million is donated directly to family services, where they spend about $18.7 million on the salaries of their employees. While research is important, the autistic community has emerging needs. Autism Speaks has the responsibility as the leading organization to provide a wide breadth of resources and funding for programs that have a direct impact on those with autism. Autism Speaks should allocate more of their budget to funding programs like adult services to counteract this autism tsunami. There is even unrest inside the organization, as one of the Autism Speaks board members publicly wrote about his decision to leave the organization. John Elder Robinson, a former Autism Speaks Science and Treatment Board member, wrote a detailed blog post about the reasons behind resigning from his role within the organization. Unfortunately, the majority of the research Autism Speaks has funded to date does not meet the current needs, and the community services are too small a percentage of total budget to be truly meaningful. We have delivered very little value to autistic people for the many millions raised. By funding adult services programs, Autism Speaks would reduce the cost in the long run for families with autistic children and create a hopeful future for adults with autism. Studies show that individuals with autism who do not receive continued assistance into adulthood are much more likely to regress in their social and verbal skills, while early intervention can lower lifetime costs of care for an individual with autism by nearly 2/3, according to the 2015 PBS website. If Autism Speaks proactively established more adult services programs, they would be eventually reducing their own costs as an organization and could afford to focus mainly on research in the future. By treating autism as a disability and not a disease, Autism Speaks and other organizations can delve deeper into the problems that deserve immediate attention. By facing the autism tsunami head-on and establishing more adult services programs, the financial strain on families and organizations will be ameliorated, and a more hopeful future will be in our reach. When my brother was first diagnosed with autism, my parents never thought he would be where he is today. This is at his Special Olympics Championship swim meet where he got first place. He wouldn't have been able to do it without the help and support of institutions and organizations like VIA and Special Olympics. Education and programs geared towards those with autism really do have a life-changing impact on families and entire communities.